Okay, we're recording. Hey everybody, my name is the Zen God. I'm here to share with you some information about cryptocurrency. A lot of people know me as someone that holds XRP. So primarily this channel is gonna be focused on XRP. But let's start this off. I've been talking a lot about this lately, the upcoming $1.4 trillion lawsuit that Tether's involved in. And the mainstream is starting to find out about this. Today, the mainstream is posting about Tether and its scam to enrich Bitcoin investors. So basically what's happened with the whole Bitcoin market ever since March, Tether, which is a stable coin, it's supposed to be backed. For every one Tether, there's supposed to be $1 that backs it, right? That makes sense. However, they're not complying with the regulators, or they've tried to audit their banks. They have these sketchy offshore banks that they're holding their reserves, and they're not complying. Tomorrow is the deadline where they're supposed to respond to the lawsuit, the 15th. And more press is coming out anti-Tether. And a lot of people say whenever the Tether printer stops, Bitcoin goes down. And ever since in March, when Bitcoin started rising, when it dropped all the way to like 3,800, Tether has been printing more and more and more. I think about 55% of their supply has been printed in the last 6 months. Like ridiculous, like billions and billions. There's no way that they have dollars back in these. They even admitted before that it was about 70%. So here's a cool article you could check out. And Christine Lagarde came out today as well, making some pretty big claims. So earlier in my live stream, I was talking about the potential of XRP being partnered with the gold standard. So let me show you this video of Trump's new Federal Reserve Chairman. That she hasn't officially been put in. She got denied the first time, but I think she'll get in the next time.
You mentioned the gold standard. I think you're quite well known for your stance on the gold standard. Would returning to gold standard help the U.S. economy? Can you talk a little about your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say I don't see it so much as returning, but more of a back to the future.
Okay.
I think that what a gold standard stands for is monetary discipline for its own sake. That is, if money is supposed to be a unit of account and a reliable measure and a dependable store of value, it really shouldn't be subject to who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And I think that money needs to be stable and provide the foundation for productive economic growth. And when money is just a variable that financial markets toss around, or it's part of a derivatives formula, or it's part of someone speculating on currencies, it's not serving the private sector in the sense of providing that reliable unit of account so you can make plans. And under a gold standard, you did have that stability, and I think that's what's missing. And so I like the idea of a gold standard. I mean, it could be used in a very cryptocurrency way. The point is, do you have a unified money system so that when you talk about the international marketplace, everyone is playing on a level monetary playing field? And it's very important to have a rules-based approach. And that's why I'm advocating that we need to look at the virtues of a gold standard and try to come up with something much closer to matching those. And then I think we would have more solid economic growth.
There you go. Judy Shelton, future Federal Reserve Chairman. She mentions level playing field. We know Trump, Steve Mnuchin, Brad Garlinghouse uses that term. Words matter. If everyone in these elite circles are using a phrase, level playing field, that has significance. And it's going to make everything smooth. So a lot of people hate on XRP. They call it a shit coin. They say there's no use. And I just want to show you what some of the world's most powerful economic forums say about XRP. So this is how you do your digging, guys. You go to a page like this, the World Economic Forum, and where is it? I'm trying to figure out how to use this with search. So you just scroll through it. You scroll through. I've already been here, so I've already done it. But it's up here. Find on page. Find. You go to find, and you just on these documents, just see if you can find XRP, and you find XRP right away. And on this page, it goes digital payments ecosystem and landscape evaluation. Right here, it clearly says the most relevant, not irrelevant, the most relevant for wholesale central bank digital currencies under crypto assets is XRP. So the World Economics thinks it's very relevant. Also, you can look at this document. So we're looking at real documents. We're not just making stuff up. Ripple is clearly right here. Ripple is building the next generation's financial structure with blockchain technology. It's payments network. You could read through this. It's all right here, guys. Another narrative that I've been telling people about is the blackouts have multiple reasons. There's a lot of reasons for the blackouts coming up. Pakistan just had a significant blackout. And guess what? Within 24 hours of the blackout, they launched a new payment system that's supposedly instant right after the blackout. We've always said you have to black things out in order to turn the internet off and switch to a new platform. So there's multiple meanings behind these blackouts that are supposedly be coming. And Pakistan was just a really good example. So today we know that Christine Lagarde came out and said that Bitcoin needs regulations. There's funny play involved. There's money laundering and all different types of things. But let's fast forward. Let's go rewind a little bit back and see what Christine Lagarde says in April of 2019.
One of the main topics up there was cryptocurrencies and all sorts of companies now getting into this effort, not least among them Facebook. What kind of threat does this pose to the traditional banking system?
Well, I think you have incumbents, the banks, commercial banks, and you have the disruptors. And clearly the disruptors are having an impact on the incumbents. We just heard a very large systemic bank here saying that they're launching their digital coin, currently piloted in a way within the institutional clients, but to be scaled beyond that. We heard from the European Central Bank that they have launched in November something that is called TIPS, that enables all the banks in the Eurozone to actually transfer instantly at virtually no cost money between them. So I think that the role of the disruptors and anything that is using distributed ledger technology, whether you call it crypto assets, currencies, or whatever, and it's far from the Bitcoins that we used to talk about a year ago, that is clearly shaking the system. The voice that we heard, which was, I thought, really interesting, were those of the regulators and central bank governors who said, well, yes, this is good and this is helpful, and it is changing the business model of commercial banks. But we have to be mindful of two things: trust and stability of the system. And we are equally concerned, we at the IMF, about stability. We don't want innovation that would shake the system so much that we would lose the stability that is needed.
And are regulators doing enough right now to ensure that stability and as well competition from some of these big tech companies being involved in this space?
You know, I think they're mindful of wherever the competition is coming from. The central bank governor of Kenya was explaining to us that they gave a banking license to a telecom company. And I think in the future, we have to look at what lots of data collectors and movers are going to do, and whether they're going to move into the banking space forcefully, in which case they will have to be regulated. They will have to be held accountable so that they can be fully trusted.
Madam Lagarde, I know you have a tight schedule. Thank you for joining us here on Facebook Live. We always love.
So when these type of people talk, you want to listen to the language that they use. She just used similar language that we just heard Judy Shelton talk about: stability, trust. In my last live stream, I talked a lot about Facebook's Libra. Underhandedly, she's talking about trust because she's really taking shots at Libra. Facebook has no trust in the in the world right now. People don't trust them. They've sold people's data. So she brought that up, like, we don't want Libra or Facebook to come and take over the currency because nobody trusts them. And that's one of the big things that got people moving, the banks moving on adopting this technology, because they saw competition like Libra. Stability. XRP is pretty stable at a low price. A lot of people say that XRP, because you could tokenize anything of value with the ledger, that stability will come with it being backed by a precious metal like gold. So she gave us some clues right there. And my last video, this is gonna be short. So the SEC chairman has a brand new chairman. His name is Gary Gensler. He actually looks a little bit like, I think, Mr. Burns from Simpsons is what his name is. It's funny. But he has dedicated his life recently to blockchain. He teaches at MIT, really dedicated, really knowledgeable. And here he is right here explaining XRP to his students in MIT.
Let's say Mexico, if it's between the US and Mexico. So one idea that's been around, it's widely associated with Ripple, but it's not only associated with Ripple, is this simple chart. What if I move fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat? Is this called a bridge crypto or bridge currency? I can sort of say I can go from US dollars to Bitcoin or XRP. You fill in the middle and then move over to the other fiat. Mexican peso in my example. And might that take some cost out of the system? We have Sean's issue earlier of volatility. If the crypto is fluctuating a lot, that causes some issues. If there's a lot of cost or friction, because now you're doing two currency exchanges, not one. I'm calling crypto a currency for this purpose. I know that
XRP has no cost to send. It's less than a penny to send. Most others like Ether and Bitcoin have higher network fees, so you just gave credit right there.
Crypto is not technically a currency, but for this moment, let me just call it, you have two currency exchanges, and thus you have two bid-ask spreads to pay. Just the market makers, you need to pay the bid-ask spreads twice, and you have some volatility if the middle crypto is moving around. But this simple diagram is a big part of what Ripple is trying to create with X Rapid. Right, X Current is a messaging app of Ripple's, and it's competing with Swift. And it has some reasonable adoption. A lot of banks are starting to use it. But don't confuse that with another product, which is an interesting product that kind of does this, that goes fiat to crypto, crypto to fiat. So what problem, what pain points would this be solving if it worked in the cross-border? Anybody want to remind the class what Tom?
This reduces the number of intermediaries. You don't have to have your bank engage with a correspondence bank, which engages with a local bank, which then it sort of.
All right, so it might, I'm going to say it might lower the intermediation because you still have on the two fiat sides, a bank, local bank and a bank. And to do the crosses, you need some market making function, which in Ripple's case, they try to build into the application. And they have market makers to provide liquidity. There was a question, somebody mentioned liquidity, some liquidity. But it might lower the numbers of intermediaries. What else might it do?
I believe it will lower the meter. Like, it cuts out the middleman totally. So it cuts out all those correspondent banks, and you go direct, cuts out all those fees. Show one more video. A lot of people can't really fathom just how big this is. So you guys can watch this video.
Hello, my name is Evan. I work at Ripple on the Interledger protocol. I'm going to go through. Today I'm going to be talking very quickly about Interledger and streaming payments. So I'm the co-inventor of Interledger. I've been working on it full-time for the past 3 years. So the problem that we want to solve is today, if you tried to go and actually use cryptocurrency for anything, you would have a situation like this. You walk into a grocery store, you say, hey, do you accept Ether? And they would say, what is that? No, sorry. And the fundamental problem is that all of these different payment networks are disconnected. You can't use any type of cryptocurrency today for payments because you need the other person to actually accept that cryptocurrency. Blockchains don't solve the interoperability problem by themselves. Blockchains are individual networks that have the same problems as traditional ones where they're all disconnected. What we need is a system for internetworking payment networks. And so this term internetworking comes from the internet. That's what it's named after. And at its core, the internet is all about routing little packets of data across independent networks. So what we need is a system for routing packets of money across independent payment networks. So what that would enable is me to pay you, even if I have some kind of super obscure cryptocurrency and you just want dollars or whatever you want. So what Interledger does is it routes packets of money very similarly to how the internet routes packets of data. I won't get into too much of how that works, but I want to walk through some of the cool things that this lets you do.